This week on The Half Hour, we sit with the CEO of African Alliance, Ms Nelsiwe Mabuza, at the Malken Square. This is the first of a three-part series. Sit back and enjoy her conversation with PhD. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell for notifications.
The Half Hour, on the record, for the record.
Hi Nelsiwe.
Hi Pila, how are you?
I'm good. I'm better now, now that I'm sitting with you, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons?
Thank you. The obvious reasons is I'm pretty sure I can meet 10 or more people who would love to be in my position right now. So those are the obvious reasons as far as I'm concerned. And thank you very much for being with me today. And I'm very excited that we will speak about you and not me. So I will not waste a lot of time. May I just go right into it and ask for you to introduce yourself to me and let me know where you come from and let me know, I want to know specifically how your journey started.
Okay. Thank you, Pila, for the invite. Finding me worthy to come and speak to you. Who am I? It's always quite an interesting question to answer that one. I see myself first as a human being.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is most of the time as people, we put titles and we push those first.
Yes.
For me, that has never been important.
Okay.
And I know I make that statement to a lot of people. It becomes, what does she mean? It's because she's already there that she says it's actually not important. Yes, it becomes easier, but it actually isn't, because that's not my pursuit in life. It's never been about any other, but to be the best person that I can be.
That you can possibly be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where did I start? I started primary in Pig School. I actually come from an area called Mbembili. That's where I was born.
Okay.
Which is in the Oho region.
Oh, line, one way.
One way. Closer to Matamo than anything else. A very rural background, which in itself is quite interesting. I grew up in a very humble home.
Okay.
We work very hard as children. And some of the effects of that as you grow older become quite interesting because it shapes you one way or the other.
Yes, definitely.
So I come from a family of 6. I'm somewhere in the middle. So one of those that are not truly important. Most parents will like either the first one or the last one.
The last one. The curse of the middle child.
Middle child, no one pays attention. But that also then allows you to define who you want to be without the pressure of having siblings that are looking up to you or being the last child, being measured against everyone else that has done something. The fact that you are sort of ignored, I think, for me, it worked quite positively because it allowed me time to get to know myself. As a child, I wasn't very friendly.
Are you friendly now?
Good question. It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Depends on who you ask. I think I wouldn't say friendly, but I would like to think I'm accessible.
Okay.
I'm available to people that would want to engage.
Okay.
Very uncomfortable around many people, but on one-on-one.
Okay.
That's how I thrive.
Okay.
So I grew up, as I was saying, as a middle child. Went to primary at Pig School, which was quite a distance from where we stay.
Yeah.
What would happen is every time you have to travel over 40 kilometers almost, 30 around about, every morning in a bus. So you're leaving the house 5 a.m. Yes, which means you woke up around 4 to try and get ready, and then you catch a bus and you go there, you go to school. And that became routine. Even now, I still wake up quite early. Wow. I still struggle to sleep until very late. So it becomes very difficult even now to sleep late. Your system knows that you're supposed to be up because you've been taught that to achieve anything, you start early, when everyone else is still sleeping, when it's still quiet. You can gain a lot from that experience. But we can come back to that discussion.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we then had to do, which shaped the culture of working hard, because we were a family that we used to have many fields at home. So there's Lima. And there's Lima Kashane from the house.
Yeah.
So each child would get and having, free time. Almost all the time there was something that we needed to be doing. If it's not that, at some point we then had a grocery shop as well. So
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, that then also taught me the culture experiment. My sister laughs at me today because when you fast forward just quickly to some of the businesses that we've bought, when I saw Lubiela clearly it's something that's still a part of you. Yes. So then I finished from Pick School.
Yes.
Then from there, I was actually fortunate enough to be exposed to St. Michael's.
Oh, okay.
I say fortunate because you get the best of both worlds. Everything in life comes with a positive and a negative. And then it depends on you which experience you choose from it. So you're from a background that is very humble, very hardworking, and I wasn't as articulate as I am today. There's Kuluma Siswati in most of the schools that, Nasekaya or Kuluma Swati, yes. And then there you are as a Form 1, you are thrown into St. Michael's High School.
A den of lightness.
A den of different experiences, people that are coming from different families, they've been raised totally different from you. I think I was one of two that came from a background, Yasemakai. St. Michael's at that point in time used to almost always take Banbana Labawiya as St. Michael's primary or Lalaba Close, St. Teresa's, and which means they are more exposed than you are. They speak better than you do. They dress better than you. So everything about them is different from what you know. What was also quite interesting as well is GAFAM 5, 142nd class.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, got standard 5.
Standard 5,
yes.
okay.
142nd class. Now, when you come into St. Michael's, I'm married cinema first. But fortunately for me, what had happened is in the first term and second term, my results were excellent. For some reason, Nasang Palali exam, I actually don't know what happened. But in 42nd class, now the whole school knows this. Gupuma Pepeni and we are announced. So you come in, you are obviously, they're looking at you and thinking, okay, who's this?
You're an underdog.
Why is she here? Daniel Trump, the big bugs, that's any, and so that experience was actually very hard. Because they are going to abuse you, they are going to laugh at you and everything else. And I remember the first week or two, I called my mother and I said, I want to go back home. I'm calling. And a defining moment for me was that she refused to do it. She said to me, you have to find a way to survive that. Because impilo going forward is exactly that.
Wow.
Now, I have taught you from usemncane ukuthi kufuna ukuthi usebenze hard to be the best that you can be. Find a way. I am definitely not coming to fetch you.
Didn't you feel like your mom? you know, as a child, you can't process that like you are now as an adult.
Yes.
You are young, you are in distress, and you're calling out to the person that you trust the most, and you're saying no. And she was right. Now in hindsight, she was right. But at that point, I'm sure you felt like this woman hates me. Like, why?
No, naturally, you go into a corner, you cry yourself to sleep, you're trying to understand, why is my mom not understanding what I'm going through? Why is she not coming to fetch me? And unfortunately, remember, I was at boarding school, so the very people that are supposed to be your friends at that point in time are the ones that are abusing you because they don't know you.
Exactly.
You know, it's an interesting thing. Abuse, you then realize it's because people don't know you.
Yep.
So see a measure and then decide it's okay, lawyer, you know. What helped me there is, as I said, because I wasn't such a friendly child, I then hid myself in books. Even from a primary. So what I did is I then just went back to reading.
Wow.
Just decided I'm going to ignore the noise. I'm going to start reading.
Find a corner, get a book.
Read. What that was also helping me with, which I wasn't realizing at that point in time, is now I'm able to formulate proper sentences. Because when you read a story, you are learning how to put together your own story. At the same time, what I was doing is I'm becoming a character in whatever story I'm reading. So I would choose if I want to be the boss.
Yes.
Because I'm reading different things. So in that story, I'm the boss. Then you learn how they behave, you know, what it means. And you then aspire to become certain things. Time goes by. We are in Form 1, Form 2. Still a bit of a struggle. You're getting better. You're getting to, because you have to speak English. So you were then forced to ufunza English, and I learned quickly. Then I made a decision Form 2. Because okay, so you're not the best looking. You're not the richest. You are not the most well-spoken child. Find something that you can excel at. You like reading.
Yeah.
Go and read the books. That's Colin. And as I paid attention to that, I discovered I actually enjoy this. I enjoy learning. I enjoy learning about different things. And soon after that, listening number 1 in class. Now, the interesting thing is, there's always the debate, are people born smart or do people become smart?
Yes.
I always feel it's a combination.
Okay.
But more importantly, you need to stretch your brain.
Apply yourself.
Yes. Everything you know, you're not born knowing. You read, you learn it, you practice, you do it over and over and over, and then it becomes second nature.
Yes.
It's almost like when we compare to people, driving a car, it's exactly the same principle.
Yes.
So the argument you are born with it doesn't truly apply all the time. For me, I discovered I can become as long as I pay attention.
Wow, at a young age.
I had to.
Of course, it wasn't deliberate. It was like, survival instinct, certainly.
Yes.
Wow. That is so interesting, though. I think I'm going to take you back a bit because I'm resonating a lot with, your childhood, where you come from, and the conditions under which you grew up. Because someone else will look at it, comparing it to how children would rather be raised. Which is less work, more playing, like you were saying. For you guys, it was a lot of work. Someone else, based on what children would rather have, will look at your background and look at it as struggle. But now, where you are, and looking back and looking at the lessons, it was possibly the best thing that ever happened to you. And there's a possibility, would see, there's young people today. I mean, I'm one of those. My grandmother had a tough time getting me to the fields, man. It had to be a debate. Like there had to be a negotiation happening.
You see, at least you had that opportunity. With some of us, it was not an option. You had to do it.
It was tough, and I mean this because, and the reason that we would call it an option is because we had seen, how other kids were possibly being raised and feeling like, why do we have to be your slaves while, our friends are playing? And then going to peak school, and then in 2020, today.
Actually, it's gotten terrible, much worse.
You know, it's even worse.
Yeah.
And having to travel that long distance, you know, as a child, uhambe uye esikolweni for 7 years or whatever, you know, and then the transition, yokuthi usuke ekhaya where everything is there, you know, you go to the kitchen, you know, you're with your family, it's safe, to now St. Michael's, where it's not only secluded, you know, you're a middle child, you're used to having, you know, your older and younger siblings. You know, so weird, you were being bullied, you were being judged because of your results.
Yes.
And that transition at a very young age, how do you think you were able to even go through it? You know, under the conditions that you were growing up under. The spirit of resilience.
Yes.
You know, how do you think it was developed, you know, in you? Because as you said, it's a combination, but do you think for you it was more on the natural side or on the nurture side?
I think it was, I want to say nurture.
Okay.
I say that because, yes, ekhaya, unema siblings, you have your family, but I grew up under a father that was very strict, extremely. Which then meant the things that children today take for granted, for us were not an option. They had to be done. And they had to be done in time or on time, in time and on time.
Yep.
There was no negotiation. There was no, you just had to do it. Yeah. Now, that is exactly the same thing that you're going to apply when you come into a St. Michael's type of platform, because I've cried to my mother.
Yeah.
She's clear, I'm not coming to fetch you. Now I have to survive.
Yeah.
Remember, I've already been taught that when you have to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You can scream as much as you want, you can, but nothing changes because it just has to be done.
Wow.
And I'm still like that as a person. You know, I'm not one of those people that will wallow too much about things that didn't work out, or things that, you know, if it has to be done, it has to be done. And I find a way.
Wow.
It's not to say it's easy, but everything, I always think, starts with the mind. Once you shift your mind and you come to a knowing that is different, weakness yet was banned for most of the time. We think we have too many options.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you then have to narrow it down and say, yes, Lama options are 5, but this is what I'm concentrating on.
Okay.
And then give it your all.
Focus all your energy on that.
Focus on it.
Okay.
And then it multiplies. It can only multiply because you're giving it your all.
Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I applied exactly the same there.
Okay.
Now I'm the best in class. Okay, so I'm passable number 1. And children, like everything else, then will gravitate to that which is good, that which is liked, that which is the best. And that then helped me start building some friendships. Then I realized, okay, clearly if you are the best, and the best is also another debate because we measure against what, you know. But at that point in time, I am simply just number 1 in class. Okay, and that works for me. It's also building something inside you that says if you apply yourself, you are diligent, committed, you work hard, and you get the results that you are looking for, good things happen. It removes the doubt. Remember, you're moving from being abused, and suddenly you see the switch in people. People respect something that is good, something that is positive. And I discovered to become good, I must know more, I must always be better than I was the previous day. After that, I think the part that I hadn't picked up, which I am always grateful for, is leadership. Because Nangiga from 4, I was then appointed as head prefect for Form 5. Which was quite interesting for me because it's definitely not something I would have chosen for myself. I guess the headmistress at that point in time saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I wasn't really looking for it even at that point, but somehow it just found me. In hindsight, I think it was the spirit of excellence that I had now been applying.
Yeah.
Because if a person pays attention and they can see where you've started from and where you've now gotten to, they will see that, okay, maybe this person can inspire or lead other people to get to it. Head prefect, from 5. From there, I then went into UNISWA.
Wow. This is a very interesting story because I'm also picking up that over and above your ability to handle all of these transitions,
yes,
the leadership journey also started at a very young age. I'm pretty sure it's not easy, leading students. You're all still trying to find yourselves. You're all still young, and then at that point, somehow you must also be at the point of giving direction.
Yes.
Obviously not as much as the headmistress or the teachers, but at your level, you have young people looking up to you. And how was that journey? You were not looking forward to it. You would not have chosen it for yourself. But do you consider that as well as a beginning of success at leadership?
No, absolutely. It gave me an opportunity to discover strengths in myself that I hadn't seen. And I wouldn't have seen them that early had I not been pushed into that space where now I need to be leading.
Yeah.
Now, if you are ahead, what you need to first understand is you're not leading everyone. And I think it applies with all leadership. The first people you concentrate on are the ones closest to you.
Okay.
Because we cannot impact everyone at the same time equally.
Wow.
Now, I had Lama prefects, right?
Yeah.
So you're given responsibilities and you know what you're supposed to do, but yours first is to make sure the rest of them are actually doing what is meant to be
supposed to be done.
Yes. In some ways, it's a little bit easier than perhaps the prefect, the daba for each class.
Yes.
But at the same time, they take cue from you. So if you are not leading them properly, nabo kwehla kubuyele ndasi kungasiko the way that it's supposed to be. Yes.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate also to then have a team of ladies that were very diverse, interesting ladies that we led with. We still keep contact, and I'm very proud to even see most of them, almost all, are in leadership in different forms. Some still Lagangwan, and some obviously are working in South Africa. But they are still in leadership. So it does apply that if you get the training early,
yes,
it becomes a natural. It stays with
certainly,
you. It becomes something that you become even without knowing.
Definitely.
There's good and bad. Because remember, if you taste it too early also sometimes, it sets certain expectations in yourself that may then work against you. Because when you're then asked to be behind, for some people then it becomes a struggle.
A problem. No, I'm a leader. I can't follow.
Yes.
And yet following is also a type of, leadership.
You have to follow. You can't lead until you followed. But
certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. No, thank you very much for that. I mean, we've gone through the high school life. We'll definitely continue and go on to the university life. But thank you for this start. It's been a very impactful first half of our conversation. Thank you for tuning in. Join us again next week for the second leg of this awesome 3-part conversation. If you still haven't, remember to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications.
The Half Hour. On the record, for the record.